Hey everyone, Mitch from the Foamy Heads here. We went on site to the Crazy Gnome Brewery in this next interview. It was a fantastic opportunity to test not only our minimal setup for audio, but just to see how things would go in person. And, it's a weird time right now, so we took all the precautions necessary. Everything was as close to 6 feet, if not more, apart, and it was just, an interesting little setup. One of the mics chose to not fully cooperate, unfortunately. So that's my fault for not bringing any headset to just check audio with before we got rolling and started drinking. So anyway, we're just a little faint on the mics, the two hosts, Richard and myself. So the actual content you would want to hear from the Crazy Gnome is loud and clear. So without further ado, enjoy.
Welcome back to another episode of the Foamy Heads. Mitch and Rich are on the mic today, and we are inside Crazy Gnome Brewery. It's Monday night, nobody else is in here. It's kind of closed.
To me, it's game day.
Yeah.
We've already got a couple beers poured in front of us,
Yeah.
so I'm excited to get into it.
I'm really excited too. We've been here a couple of times. I know, Mitch, I was here with DJ at one point, and I was here with you as well. And then we were here again this past weekend. I guess this is my third or fourth time. I just like drinking beer. But so we're actually with the two owners of Crazy Gnome tonight. Rather than me try to introduce them, I guess we'll let them do that themselves, and we can just kind of get started. So,
Sure.
You guys want to kick us off?
My name is Bennett. I'm a smaller co-owner, and I mostly do front of house stuff. Help out a little bit with kind of the operational, like kegging and carving and things like that. Just the grunt labor of things in the brewing side.
Yeah, that's true. And you do all of the woodworking and etc. that we need done. I don't know, when we need a table built, you'll build it. Hey
Got a
guys.
QA.
That's right. Hey y'all, I'm Grayson. I'm the other owner here, and I brew all of the beer and do all the numbers and pretty much all the back of house sort of things.
Yeah. Are you guys from Nashville?
From Knoxville. So not
Knoxville?
too far away. I've been here for about 5 years, so.
Okay.
That's awesome. We had a trip down to Knoxville a while back.
They've exploded in the
Yes,
last
they have.
couple few years.
I don't know how I feel about it. They got really cool right after I left.
I feel that.
I'm
I kept thinking about leaving Nashville occasionally, and then it kept getting better and better and
Yeah.
better. I feel like 3-4 years blip by, and all of a sudden there's craft beer everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the distribution laws here used to just suck.
That's
They were
right.
Terrible. Yeah.
But I mean, you guys picked a good city to open up. Nashville's exploding with craft beer, and there's a lot of good craft beer that's kind of blowing up. And you guys are relatively, probably, if not the newest, one of the newest in Nashville.
Yeah.
Recently opened this year.
Yep. August 15th.
Yeah. Perfect time to open a brewery.
Right. Yeah. Tried to do it a little earlier. We're hit by a tornado.
Yeah. 2020's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
You had a tornado, and then shortly after a tornado, you had a pandemic that you had to deal with.
Yep. It's been a year, but
Yeah.
hey, we're here. We're doing
here.
it.
We're open, and now we're drinking.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's what matters.
Yeah. So we actually have beers in front of us already. They were gracious enough to pour beers for us tonight, so we've got something in front of us. I guess it's the Red Hat Ale. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
You want to take us through this one?
Sure thing. So we're pushing for this one to be our flagship, tinkering with it a little bit here and there. But when we're thinking about this one, we're thinking about we want to appeal to the most folks, but still keep everything craft. So we're not watering things down per se, but we're not looking for a niche market with this one. We are looking for broad appeal. And when you're looking at it, you should get a nice ruby red there when it's a nice fuller pour, and when you get it in the light. Aroma, you're getting some sweeter malt notes. Yeah. And it is a red ale. which for me is a really delicious style of beer. A lot of the ones that I've had, and a lot of malt forward beers in general, have some really great sweetness on the front end, but that sweetness follows all the way through to the end of the beer and kind of hangs out in the back of my mouth in a way that I don't like. I understand how other people like it, and I understand that it's not necessarily not part of the style, but I don't like it. So we also add a little bit of rye in this one, which kind of dries it out towards the end.
Nice. I want to take a sip. Let's get into it. All right. I really enjoy the smell of the aroma.
So one thing I will say, it's the taste actually stays with you through the whole end, but it's not sweet all the way from start to finish. It kind of disappears real quick.
Yeah.
I will say I'm just kind of cheating a little bit, but we were here a few days ago, and this was on my flight anyway, and I really enjoyed this. I'll drink red ales all day long. They're just easy to drink, super tasty. But you're right, most of them have that sweetness that lasts all the way through and kind of lingers with you at the end. I didn't pick up on the fact that this one does not do that a few days ago, so that was an interesting tip.
I think it's a way to make it even more drinkable. It helps you have more than one during the day.
That's crisp. Yeah.
Malt, a little bit of caramel. Rye, I guess that's the dryness on the end that I taste.
That would be the secret ingredient.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really secret ingredient. 5%.
Yep.
Easy drinking. I like it. This is something that I guess you could drink this on a hot day, but this is more of like this kind of weather for me, where it's just kind of starting to get a little bit colder.
Yeah.
I could drink it outside. I could drink it inside. I think if it was going to be extremely hot, I would go for something a little lighter. This is perfect for the weather that we're sitting in right now. It's
Yeah.
really good. What do you think, Mitch?
I really like it. it's been a while since I've had a red ale, and there is usually always that foreboding notion that something's going to be kind of sitting back there, and this kind of nips that out. I enjoy that. That was a good thought. This makes it to where I can have multiples without. I don't know, something about it having that extra. I don't want to call it dry, but crisp, kind of dry lift at the end really makes it for me. It really dresses it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I wouldn't necessarily call it, like you said, not too dry. I mean, it's still a malt forward beer. You know, you're still going to get mainly malt with this one. That's the intention.
What's the Red Hat part of it? So I was looking at the name, Red Hat Ale. Is there a reason for that name?
Yeah, I mean, there's...
Or is it just because gnomes always have the red hats and that's kind of like the goal?
So that's definitely the obvious intentional first answer. We want it to be our flagship. Gnomes have red hats. Red Hat Ale. Yep. Boom, there you go. I also am, in my day job, an IT auditor, and I deal a lot with Red Hat Linux. And
I was wondering if that's where it was going.
It may or may not also have that as sort of a double meaning.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. A few of the folks, there's a Red Hat office here in Nashville, and they have learned about our brewery, and they've come out here and had it. And so we're kind of popular within this Red Hat Linux community.
Free marketing. Yeah.
That's some pretty narrow scope marketing right there.
Free marketing is free marketing. It doesn't matter if it's wide or narrow.
Yeah. So that was really fun. They were. I was glad to see that they were excited to see a beer kind of inspired by their name and not litigious.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
It can go that way with anybody nowadays.
Yeah.
That was tasty. I liked that one.
I really enjoy that caramel leftover taste in my mouth with that malt.
I get a little bit of a, kind of going back to the finish, I get a little bit of a lift on the end. I guess you mentioned, Grayson, was kind of the rye that's providing that. I get like a champagne feel at the end, because when I'm drinking it, it starts out sweet, and then after I'm finished with it, it kind of like lifts off the back of my mouth, like off the back of my palate. Not a bubbly sense in a way, but it's a dry finish that kind of just appears at the end. And I attribute that to the rye because it's not as sweet as the rest of the beer is.
I mean, we're also using a pretty hearty yeast that nearly fully attenuates. So, there's not a whole lot of residual sugar in this one.
I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. I might have to go order one of these to go.
That was awesome. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Now
What's our,
we're talking.
Yeah. What's our next one? What do you think?
Number 2. I think we're looking for Je ne sais quoi, our Belgian Saison.
Yes.
You like saisons?
I do. I like Belgian Saison.
Yeah.
I still haven't been able to find anybody to replicate what I had in Memphis that one time. Do you remember?
Was it high cotton?
It was high cotton. I don't remember what they call their saison. It was a lot of black pepper.
Black pepper.
So instead of some people might be familiar with saisons having a little bit of a
Tart, like
Yeah.
a sour taste to it.
This was the opposite.
Yeah.
It had a really, really kind of black peppery nose and note at the end of not only when you smelled it, but also when you tasted it. It was good.
I wonder how this is going to differ being a Belgian saison. It's kind of more.
I'm not expecting black pepper.
No, not at all.
That's just one of my favorites. That's all in the old memory bank that I'll never be able to probably see again.
And we're drinking out of their full size glasses also.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Rather than drinking them out of pint. I mean, no offense to like flight glasses, they're good, but I don't think you get the full experience as drinking out of something of this size because you get that flavor that kind of starts out here and then kind of narrows as it goes towards the top of the glass and hits you in the face as you're smelling it.
100%. And, it's pretty sad. Definitely our number one selling item here are flights, without a question. And, we put a lot of effort into having nice looking flight boards, and we think it's really fun. They're also pretty cheap because we want people to kind of be able to have the freedom to drink around the board there.
We want to try all the beers.
Right.
And having 10 ounces of 5 different beers sometimes isn't
is almost
part of the equation.
Yeah. But I'll say, the type of glassware really makes a difference. And if you see a snifter as one of your options, asking to get your beer poured in that glass, even if you have to take a half pint or whatever, I guarantee you're going to enjoy that beer more.
Right.
Unless it has a really terrible aroma, which it would be unfortunate.
This one does not, by the way. This one smells really good.
Yeah.
So, je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi.
KWA.
So it's
Jenna.
so yeah. I guess for those of you listening,
After,
yes, this would be named after my girlfriend Jenna.
Rite of passage.
If you put up with me long enough, you get a beer named after you. I guess that's the
Oh,
deal.
okay. That's Jenna. That's quite.
Bad pun.
That was terrible. That was good. Roll with it. This smells really good too. Very Belgian, Steve.
Yeah.
So about this one.
Yeah. So we wanted a pretty true to form classic saison. I also love saisons. They're my favorite style. So we wanted to get straight. In my mind, DuPont has the quintessential saison. I haven't personally tasted one that tops that. It's everything that a saison should be, except that it's really hard to get.
Right. Yeah.
So we're also looking to capture black pepper, spice. Some people have pointed out some coriander and some other notes in there as well. Obviously, none of those spices are in here. It is all from the yeast. So we're just doing our best to keep the yeast healthy, happy, and let them give off some of those phenols.
Nice. So would this be the style of beer that brought you into craft beer, or to the
Actually, no. A dark wheat beer, a Dunkelweizen from Erdinger is what did it for me. It was a long time ago.
It's been a while since I've had Dunkel. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've had an Erdinger. I've had their Oktoberfest.
They do a great. They do a great.
Only
October.
one actually from theirs that I've had. And honestly, did not know how to pronounce it just until now. So
Oh,
this is
okay.
good.
We're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning.
Well, if you ever have a chance, get your hands on Erdinger Dunkel. They're pretty fantastic.
Yeasty.
This is cool. Yeah.
I don't know much about saisons or Belgian, just Belgian beers in general.
Yep.
Banana-y, banana-ish.
Some yeah, some people have found, it.
I don't know what that
There's
is.
not necessarily wrong answers here. I mean, there's a few wrong answers, but some people are more quick to pick up some of those banana aromas. I'm a little more nose blind to banana stuff, so I don't necessarily get that as much. So that's why, whenever I'm doing recipes, I always you got to make sure you focus group it, get a lot of people trying it, so you can kind of build what sort of things. And that's particularly tricky with some of the more yeast forward beers, because it is all these amazing aromas, and it's not any one thing, but you're just calling out to familiar things in your past that to pick out some of those flavors. But yeah, banana, especially with most Belgian ales, banana is very common aroma to pick out of there.
I picked up, so my initial, I guess it's wrong to say it's my journey into craft beer, but the first beer that opened my mind was Saint Bernard's Abbot 12, and it was a Belgian quad.
Okay.
And eventually I went down the whole Belgian path, and got into their blonde style ales and all of that. And there's some nice little diversity between all of them, but I found out, and I still bought recently, wit beers.
Okay.
I really don't dig wit beers that much.
No.
Still. It's weird. It almost tastes more Hefeweizen to me, which banana stuff, not huge into Hefeweizens, but I like, everything else except for those two, really. It's weird. Even though it has banana note, it's not as strong as those other styles. But
Yeah.
I ended up picking up another wit beer by St. Bernard's, and still have the same opinion. Did not, I don't know, I would say age in my opinion and enjoy it, but you know what I mean. It's just, I haven't changed that opinion yet on my palate.
For me, I think the banana aroma falls into two categories: banana bread, and then just banana, or like almost candy, like Runsk banana. I never mind it when I'm getting banana bread out of a beer.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love some of the more aggressive banana notes that some beers have that I've brewed.
So, okay, I want to build on that for a second. That's interesting because I've never thought about different flavors of banana, whether it's more like sweet candy corn, like Nerds, because it's so terrible, but like they make Nerds bananas where it's just like fake artificial sweet sugary banana, but then there's yeasty bready banana, like you said, almost like banana bread. I'm kind of picking up more of the latter on this one.
Thank goodness.
It's more like it's not. I don't want to say this is a sweet beer because it's not. I'd actually say the Red Hat Ale was probably sweeter on the front than this one is. This one's more yeasty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got that bready taste on the end with a little bit of a banana flavor, so I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this one, by contrast, I wasn't really doing anything to keep this beer dry per se, other than letting the yeast fully attenuate. So it doesn't have much in the way of residual sugars, but you definitely keep that sweet malt backbone as the yeast flavors sort of dissipate. It kind of dissolves more into just the malt remaining there. And I think that's, we were talking about how I didn't, for red ales, like the sweetness hanging out in the back of your mouth. I think you do get that with this one. It's not necessarily sugar, it's just that malted alcohol there.
Does this beer take longer to make on average, than some of the other beers on your list because the yeast ferments longer, or is it?
I think that's true for... I have personally found that to be true for a regular Belgian ale that I'm working on right now. Not for saisons. You actually let them ferment at a higher temperature. If you were to keep them at a lower temperature, then they would probably...
I ended up spilling a little
Yeah.
bit, swirling my drink. I got carried away watching it. Sorry, thank you.
You're good. I think temperature plays a huge role in it. And saisons, they prefer a higher temperature, even higher than some of your other ales. So a typical ale might be at 68 degrees. You could do a saison anywhere 72 to 78 degrees, and it'll ferment the same amount of time.
Gotcha. So it's all a wash at the end.
Yeah.
It takes the same amount of time approximately. 6 point. I'm looking at your board. Je ne sais quoi Belgium saison 6.3% ish.
doesn't drink
None of
like a
these
6.0.
beers. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like,
It's real smooth.
and I get it. And I don't know what other ones we're getting into tonight that they're
Yeah.
going to show us, but I've had a few of them from the board, and every single time that I've had each of these, whether it be the higher or the lower, none of them drink. They all drink easily. They always drink very, very easily. 8%, 9%. I'm just looking at some of the stuff on the boards there, and it is not. Grayson just went to the back and grabbed a growler or something.
So some apologies on this one. We just had one of our good buddies come in to stock up on a few crowlers, and we had a problem with the sealer on the Mice Among Lions, which is our next opportunity here. So it was canned an hour ago. So it's still carbonated, but it is coming out of a leaking, sketchy looking.
Heck yeah.
Instead of pouring it down the drain, we're going to pour it into our glasses.
Awesome for me. That one was super tasty.
Yeah, man.
I really liked that one. Going from a red ale to a Belgian saison, that was good. And then we're next going to be moving to, I think he said it was the Mice Among Lions, which is a hazy double IPA, which sits at 9.5%. I will say I had this one a few days ago also, and it was the winner of my flight because I'm a hop guy. I like hop forward beers. But what impressed me the most about this one is that it didn't drink like a 9.5% beer. And I stood up. So,
Oh, yeah.
Get that pour going.
That's
There we go.
That'll be a soundbite.
That's a good soundbite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard that on any other recordings, but since we're right next to our mics, we're often like hearing the
That's the
pops.
goal. Is, yeah.
I'm usually way more vocal with my burps, but I'm trying to keep it mild. Oh man,
That's a good
still
color.
Good. Some good head on that.
Like caramely.
Okay, so this one, I mean, we could go pretty crazy on the tastings on this one. It is 9.5, so I mean,
Enjoy.
enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grayson.
I dove in there, second your hand lift. So
Yes. Did you have this?
I did. Yes.
You had this on Saturday?
So with our flights, we both got this on our flight and then a full pour.
Got it. Okay. I want a little bit of background on this one also because this is a collab with Harding House.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this one in general, how the collab came to be, and how you guys decided to pair up on this one.
Absolutely. So it actually kind of came about how we, being pretty new, looking to source ingredients from different areas, we came across a local malt company that had a pretty good introductory offer for us to try a whole bunch of their malt. I was used to brewing with a couple of more mainstream and mostly imported grains, so I liked the idea of being a small business importing some malt. I'm not going to say their names because I did not have a really good experience with this malt, and in fact ended up having to dump my first beer. It just had a bunch of really bad flavoring that I didn't really like. Come to find out that Harding House is actually one of their regular customers, and I've had their beer before. There's nothing that I've ever had there that I would have thought would have been as bad as the experiences that I had with this malt. I'm still not going to be probably ordering too much from these people again, but that was the start of our kind of like relationship here, and we were able to kind of dissect some differences in our brewing techniques and why those kind of would have given us some different results there. So it was a great learning opportunity. And as we were discussing and comparing like their brew house versus our brew house, we kind of came to find out that they can't really brew higher gravity beers, and we can. And we were already kind of looking for an excuse at that point to do some sort of collaboration.
Yeah.
And the highest thing I had brewed to that point was 8.1%. So I was like, I want to beat that. And they were like, well, we just want a really high alcohol beer on our menu for once.
So they can get this one at their location as
absolutely.
well.
Yep. So
Awesome.
we split it down the middle. Half of it's over there. half of it's over here. They're out in the Nations. We're in East Nashville.
That's a
It's
perfect
two
combination.
totally different markets.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool. I mean, everything about it's been pretty great. So we got to learn a little bit about some other ways to mash and sparge that might help deal with some more difficult grains. They were able to get a higher gravity beer than usual, and we also just had a lot of fun playing with some really fancy hops.
Yeah.
Like, we used the best hops in our collection, they used the best hops in their collection because we wanted to make this right.
Yeah.
And it totally comes through. We triple dry hop this thing. We did some active fermentation dry hopping, which destroys the yeast, but we didn't care.
Yeah.
And it just turned out really delicious.
Are you allowed to share the hops that are in this?
Oh yeah, for
beer?
sure. Yeah, we've got Citra, Lemon Drop, Cascade, and Azaka.
Okay.
I think we did some bittering with Magnum.
Okay. And the dry hop at the end was with.
Was with
Was
all of
those?
those. We did 3 different stages of dry hopping, each with different amounts of them.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I want to drink this right now.
I really do. It's inspired me to one day create a dry hop beer called Fuck It.
That'd be a good name for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess one other thing is we did 2 honey additions as well to extend the the primary fermentation period, so that we could keep dry hopping. So some of its more amber color is due in part from this local honey that we got from the
Was
farmers
that
market.
adding the honey in was part of the goal also to kick the ABV up a little bit?
Yeah,
With that,
definitely,
with the addition of
definitely,
yeast and honey to it?
definitely, and it was also just to get some better flavors out of it.
Yeah.
You get some impact to the hop oils that you extract during dry hopping are altered in some really delicious ways
Yeah.
if there's also fermentation occurring in the vessel.
It's really good.
Yeah. We've only been to Harding House one time, and we need to go back.
Yeah, we went to Harding House one time. It was on their 1-year anniversary.
Okay.
We went there on their 1-year anniversary.
Okay.
Place was packed.
Yeah.
They were not getting a break from the foot traffic.
No, they really were not.
Yeah.
You try to order flights, and they were like, it's going to be 15 minutes. They didn't have the glasses. They couldn't keep them going fast enough. The place was crazy. They had a DJ going. They had guys making food
It
out
was
there.
a party.
It was
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just, they had their ass handed to them that day because everybody showed up in masses. And that was just their 1-year party. I think they've been around. That was probably a year ago.
Yeah, they actually just had their 2nd year.
Okay.
That time they learned from that. I did not realize how much chaotic that was. They actually split it out over a 4-day weekend. So or 3-day weekend, and it was actually really cool. So they released a new beer on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Each day, 4 beers in 4 days to celebrate 2 years. So, and then they had something different going on each day to try and chop it up instead of make it one huge blowout.
Yeah. We didn't. Nothing bad to say about them because we've only been there one time, but we just had a few of their glasses and it all tasted the same. So we just got confused, kind of tried to figure it out with them, and it was just so chaotic.
It was so
Drank what
busy.
we had.
Yeah.
Haven't been back yet, so we'll be coming back. But
Absolutely.
especially after this collaboration.
You know you like at least one thing.
That's right. This is true. So it's odd that it's taken. I think we would have been back this year if it wasn't for the type of year that 2020 turned into.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You sound like you know more about this pandemic probably than most other people right now. If I could jump into that real quick.
Sure.
I don't know how detailed we want to get with it, but tornado,
Yeah.
coronavirus pandemic, 2020, just election year. I mean, it's just like everything, and you guys especially because you guys are a brewery, but you're a small business,
Mm-hmm.
and businesses. I work retail. We got hit hard.
Right.
I'm in IT. I'm on the IT side of things, but I still am employed by a retail company. We got hit hard. You guys got decimated. The tornado hit you guys right before you were about to open. Pandemic hit you right when you were ready to open. So kind of walk us through what 2020 has been for you at a high level and what's brought you here today.
I mean, going into 2020 for us was already a little frustrating because we were really expecting to be open November, December 2019. And we had some really frustrating delays that, I mean, everyone tells you construction takes longer than it's supposed to, but some of the things that we hit were rather just unexcusable. And so we were already in a fairly frustrated place. We were just anxious to get open. We were having to play a much more active role in overseeing the construction than we thought we would, according to the contract.
This is not your specialty either, right?
Well, it became my specialty.
Yeah, it is now.
And you know, I guess hindsight being 2020, it was all kind of a warm up to what was about to happen to us. We were sort of being pushed to play a more active role in everything, just out of necessity. And then, you know, the timeline of events around the tornado are very vivid to me. We got our final permit, our alcohol manufacturing permit on Friday. We cleaned the brew house on Saturday. We brewed beer on Sunday. 12:30 on Tuesday morning, it was all destroyed in a tornado.
Yeah.
So that was the timeline. It was devastating, unreal. There were a few silver linings, but overall just absolutely insane. And between then and us opening, it was a lot of work, a lot of construction, a lot of overseeing. And I mean, I don't know, Bennett, what your thoughts on it, but it kind of felt like we had just had the practice that we needed to do it again much faster and better the second time around.
I mean, yeah, that's true. We had to learn how to do a bunch, and then we know how to do it. Definitely. With our glycol lines, I think the first time we ran all of those was like, I don't know how many days, probably upward, like more than 10 solid days of trying to figure out how to run our glycol lines. And
yeah.
It took us, no, more than 10. What am I talking about? It was probably like 25. And then the second time it was
Like five.
So, but we, you know, I would have still probably preferred to only have to do it once.
Right. With the experience helped you out the second time.
Yes.
Basically, if anyone has some pretty deep pockets and wants to hire us to build a brewery,
Right.
we're pretty experienced
You
at
are
this
the
point. But in all seriousness, you know, it was pretty crazy. And then, you know, as we were getting closer, what was really devastating was the bar closure on the 3rd of July. And, you know, we didn't have our crowler machine in yet, so we were planning on having this. I turned 30 on July 12th. So I was shocking, I know. So it was like a big deal to me that we opened to the public before I turned 30. I thought for sure, having signed a lease on this building in June of 2019, that would have been accomplishable. But it wasn't. We opened August 15th. So we couldn't make it happen because of this, you know, pandemic, really, and some more complications from the recovery from the tornado. So that was a bummer. But I will say our opening day was chaos. It was unbelievable. It was to go only because we said, you know, screw it, we're opening. The mayor can't close us down because we can still be open for to go only.
Yeah.
We can't just sit here and bleed money. We have to get open. So we opened, even though we weren't allowed to have people inside. And man, we opened up the pre-orders on Friday just to kind of get an idea on demand, and we canned all of those plus an additional like 100 cans or something
For like the walk-ins and the
Yeah.
people that wanted extra,
Mhm.
right?
and we started canning crowlers at like 11 a.m. that day, and we weren't able to stop canning until 5 p.m.
That's awesome.
we smashed our like goals or whatever. It was kind of tricky because I don't really remember that day that well. I was mostly canning the entire day, and just kind of barely like interacting with customers here and there. It was just really exciting though. Person after person, just so many people showed up for our first day, and that was, I don't know, that was definitely the first day that, I mean, it wasn't how I wanted to have it, but it was very rewarding to finally get there.
It makes for an interesting story that this is how you want it to happen. This is how it really happened, because you had a bunch of bullshit that happened between when you were planning to open and when you actually did open. And it's we've talked with other people before, and every single time we talk to them, they're talking about like this is how they wanted to do it. It never ended up being how they wanted to do it, but you guys made it, you know, and you opened, and I'm sure it's a humbling and stressful but humbling experience to be able to say, on my opening day, I had to keep canning crowlers and beers all day because Nashville kept showing up and they kept wanting to get more and more beer. So it's a stressful time, but at the same time, it's got to be rewarding.
Oh, 100%. Stressful in the best way.
Showing up to buy your beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it 100% stressful in a very great and rewarding way for sure.
I like good stress.
Yeah.
Rewarding stress.
Yes. And you know, it's tricky because I mean, I think, you know, we were starting at that time. I think we as a community were starting to be over the fear and getting anxious and wanting to get out again, and we were a great outlet for them to do that. And then I think, you know, with this third wave hitting, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, and I think I think we can feel that fear starting to set back in with people. Yeah. And you know, I'm not like talking down about that at all. I think, you know, we are also nervous and afraid, and I mean that's why we take our safety precautions very carefully, because we don't want to stay open, and we also don't want to get sick.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Love you, Nashville, but 6 feet. Yeah, it's hard. It continues to be hard. We had our nice shining moment in our opening, and now we're starting to get into the mundane of it all, and it's still, you know, it's going to be a slump of an end to the year, and the only bright thing in the horizon is the vaccine, and really that's it. Everything else at this point is just maintenance, is just keeping your head above water. It's not thriving, it's surviving. And you know, that's a crappy place to be.
The keep on keeping on kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Extra stuff you have to do every day.
Yeah.
Because of this whole thing.
So, I mean, not to end on too much of a downer note, but it is kind of a downer time, like where we've ended up right now.
Yeah.
I mean, the sunny side of it is with slightly smaller demand gives me more flexibility to experiment. So I get to, you know, crank out a weird beer if I want to, because I don't have to be bending over backwards to keep our cores on tap, because we have plenty of our cores to go around. So that's nice. Helps keep the spirit of innovation alive.
That's true. There's always some new beer every weekend here, and it still blows my mind that I can say that about Nashville in general. You know, it's used to just not be. We're pretty much both still not transplants, right?
You were Georgia,
but that was really young. So your growing up self has been a Nashville person. So it's just seeing it grow.
And to kind of just build on that, you know, talking about you're in the mundane phase of just trying to, you know, now it's boots on the ground, burrow in just to make it through this until the light at the end of the tunnel comes to fruition. You've got people out there. So like Mitch and I are literally those customers. You know, it's like you come to work going, okay, I've got to can this, I have to brew this, I have to make this. When you're looking at the other side of the bar, you've got people like Mitch and I that are working in completely different spaces going, we're looking for an out during this pandemic, and we look to you guys for that. So like it or not, you guys are on a pedestal above us because we are looking to you guys to help us get through this. And it's a stressful time, but that's kind of how Nashville sees craft breweries, and that's how Nashville sees Crazy Gnome. That's how we see you guys as individuals, as this is your place, this is your baby, trying to make it happen, and we are looking for an outlet to say, this world fucking sucks right now. You guys can help us with a little bit of that.
Liquid courage.
I mean, that's the darker version of the same reason why we started doing this in the first place. Absolutely. I love consuming. I'm not knocking being a consumer at all, but I mean, I'm just personally driven to be one of the reasons why Nashville continues to be a great place.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not trying to like toot my own horn and say I am one of the reasons Nashville is a great place.
But you are.
But that's my commitment, and like however I can grow and evolve and build this place to better support the trajectory that I think Nashville is on right now, which I think is a great trajectory. I love how Nashville's growing, and I love that it's keeping its soul but expanding, and you know, we want to be a part of that culture. And so yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is what we're here for. I mean, it's only mundane in the fact that we've got bills that are due, pandemic or no.
Yeah. Bills don't know pandemics. That's right. That is good. That was a tasty beer.
I think I drank it a little bit too quick. It was great. I did it this past weekend too. It was good.
Well, next up, we've got our sour beer. So to completely wreck our palates, we've got our kettle sour. Don't be a sucker.
Is that the one you have listed on your board, the green apple?
Next-
Sour, or is that number 7?
Number
Okay,
7.
gotcha. So you okay. Sour saison.
So,
This is the piece where they're gonna have to walk me through all the flavors because I am not.
Yeah, you're a little notorious
Yeah.
on the recordings.
I'm just gonna let you know right now, I am not a sour beer person.
that's okay.
And I've had a couple of them. I've had one or two where I go, that's good. I can drink that. But it's not it could be just the fact that all the sours that I've had have been funky or just like gross, but because I'm not offset by tartness,
Right.
which a lot of people can mistake for sour. I can view them as two different things. Kettle sours, I think, are a little bit different because they're not that funky, like they're
Right.
not sour. They're more naturally occurring. So you're gonna have to walk me through this one a lot.
So we have a habit of naming our beers after we brew them. And when we were thinking of how this one smelled, I kept thinking about candy. And
I could see that.
And so, not like any particular candy flavor, but just candy in general.
Okay.
And that's kind of what led to the name Don't Be a Sucker. And I didn't realize what a wonderful name that was. Someone else actually ended up pointing it out to me, that it opens me up to having a whole series of these, which we have fully embraced. Don't be a lemon sucker. Don't be a green apple sucker.
So there's other beers on the horizon for
Exactly.
this one. Oh, okay.
You might be looking out for a don't be a ginger sucker here after we kick the green apple.
Okay.
So this is our base sour. It is a soured saison in that we fermented it with saison yeast. That's gonna just add a almost undetectable amount of complexity towards the end. I think what you're mostly gonna get is a clean sour.
Okay.
Right now, yeah, nose is pretty strong. It's clear. What? All right. That's refreshing.
It's
right
yeah.
there.
That's the difference, I think, is most. And I don't do this very often. I've only had probably one or two other sours where I go, you know, I can drink all of this.
I think the most recent thing was like a goza or something. Right?
Yeah, it was a goza, which was kind of more on the salty, sour kind of feel. But it wasn't. Again, I think I attribute sours that I've had historically to just kick you in the face, pucker your mouth, or it's super funky. You know, not that funk and sour are the same thing, but most of the time they go together. Like
That's
if they're
true.
going to make a funky beer, it's going to be a sour, and then it's going to hit you in the face first, and then it's going to make your mouth pucker. I don't get a puckering feeling with this one, and I don't know if that's because hops have destroyed my palate prior to, but I am getting a lot of flavor in this, but this isn't like a make your mouth hurt kind of sour.
I'll do a brief walk on my experience with it. It reminds me, and I cannot remember the name of the candy, but think Warhead, but with like a fizzy center.
Yeah, I kind of remember those.
Yeah. So it was, you know, Warhead.
Yeah.
You once you put them in, it's really puckery, soury,
Yeah.
but sugary, super sugary too. And then this thing, once you bit into it, had like a whole filling that was just kind of like a candy liquid of some sugary miasma. I don't know what it was. It was great, but this kind of reminds me of that, and it's not super strong to where you're put off from it, and it's I hate to use the word crisp again, but it's clean, man. It tastes really good. It carries you through. It's not super strong, but it's just got that right amount of punch to let you know it's there, and you can enjoy it. This is something I'd even have on a hot day. And but definitely a hot day. This thing is, it's almost a little lemony to me, and it just brings back good memories. So I think there's a little part of my brain that's teased just right with this. So I'm a little biased, I want to say now. But this is great. I really enjoy that.
This one right here is definitely our top seller. All three, I mean, the Mice Among Lions is just a one-off collaboration.
Right.
But all three of the ones that we've had here are definitely our cores. And I'd say probably we sell more Don't Be a Sucker than anything else. People really do seem to connect with it being like clean and sour but refreshing.
Yeah.
What we want to be is, you know, a local neighborhood hangout place, and we want to be part of the reason more people get into craft beer. And so that means, you know, putting aside our beer nerd and, you know, beer snob hats for a second, and remembering like why people get into flavors that they enjoy, and that these beverages can be those flavors. So we started with, you know, the Red Hat, which is malty, clean. It's, if you like beer, this is beer but craft, and I hope we accomplish that. That's what we're gonna. And if we're not, then we're gonna keep adjusting it in minor ways until we get there. The Je ne sais quoi has some really approachable spices in there that kind of hide the quintessential beer flavor under a layer of spice that I think it helps trap people in that like something maybe a little heavier but with a little more spicier. This one right here, we're looking at people who don't like beer at all.
Right.
Who
you're using a sour to appeal to people that don't like beer.
Exactly. And it's weird to say that, but when people come in, they're like, I don't really like craft beer. I usually just drink wine, but my friends are here.
Okay. That's what I get out of that. Then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like
And-
a white wine or something?
I don't get wine out of it, but like I can understand somebody comes in and goes, craft beer is not, you know, like I'll drink if like, you know, girls come in and be like, oh, if my boyfriend drinks this or my husband, and I just drink whatever. If they're a wine person, whether it's like a white wine or dry wine or whatever, and they're just like, I'm not attributing this sour to wine, but this is the exact flavor profile that I think somebody that drinks wine would be something like this if they've never had a craft beer before.
And the thing is we're not cheating. It's hops, grain, water, yeast, and a little bit of probiotics to sour it.
Yeah.
I'll admit it, but you know, we're not adding any sugars, we're not adding any flavors. There's no cheats. There's nothing. You know, it is a beer. It is a craft beer, and you know, we're able to use this base to make some more off the wall flavors, like our green apple cider or the lemon, which, you know, you want to talk about warheads. That was like just a straight up lemon warhead.
Oh,
It was intense.
Awesome.
The ginger one is really off the wall too. We're really excited about that.
I love ginger, as long as it's not like the Dark Floyd's ginger
Too much ginger can be a bad thing. Too much ginger in a beer can be a bad thing.
beer. It truly was a greatest teacher.
Yeah.
Name of their beer. It was interesting.
So the goal here, you actually answered the question I was going to ask after I started drinking this beer, ironically, was you're not trying to be good in one or two specific styles. Not good, but cater to one or two. But you're not trying to be the hazy IPA brewery. You're not trying to be the basic beer community. You're trying to be the brewery that when no matter who walks in the door, you can say number 8 or number 7. Like, we have a beer for you. You may not drink craft beer, but I've got something that you're going to try. I think you're going to like. Are you guys trying to be that brewery? Or are you trying to be it doesn't sound like you're trying to cater to the hopheads or to the stout guys or whatever.
You know, we're not. I mean, honestly, what we would like to be catering towards are bringing back really traditional, really true to form, old style beers. And, you know, like a classic Saison. We had an ESB on there. We opened with a Dunkelweizen. Of course we did. It was the beer that got me into beer. But and it was very true to form. And so I think by making sure though that we keep that, you know, high level accessibility, we can also be like, well, now you like our brand. Hey, why don't you try some of these quintessential beer types? And before you know it, you're kind of a beer snob. Yeah.
Yeah, so I could start expressing that opinion. Beer snob. It's. And I still wonder, you know, the St. Bernard's got me in, but at some point, when did I start critiquing beers? I don't know, man.
But then Untapped became a thing.
Oh,
I
boy.
guess, is
Oh,
where-
boy.
Yeah. Well, so those ratings are kind of all over the place, right? Like we've talked to multiple people, and they go, oh, "Okay, well, what's considered a good rating?" And it's like at the end of the day, there is no standard for a good rating. Like
That's
some
true.
people could come and say, "Oh, this beer is a 5," and somebody else would go, "Why would you consider that beer to be a 5?" You know, it's like that beer's a 3. It's like, well, it doesn't matter because you might look up a beer just to see what everybody else is saying. Everybody else might be saying it's a 3. Some people are saying it's a 5, and you go, well, I don't know what to think. Well, the difference is everybody's rating scales differently. So Untapped has created a unique opportunity for like marketing and like awareness of craft beer, but it's also created a problem.
Yes.
Right? Because you can log on to Untapped and you can go, this guy gave my beer a 3. Why was it a 3? Why couldn't it have been higher? And you go, well, like a guy like me, a 3 would be a beer that I would drink again. But like a 3 to somebody else would go like, 3's like middle of the road. I don't have to have it again.
You know, I think from our perspective, Untapped's been pretty hard for me. I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting how difficult it would be to see what I consider bad reviews, and that's anything in the 3s. That's anything below 4. Because I was not an Untapped user. I didn't have the time. I just like drinking.
Yeah.
And if I was doing anything, I was dissecting it. I would, you know, I drink for 2 reasons. To have fun or to learn about a new style. And if I'm drinking to learn about a new style, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. I'm learning about it, and so I'm not critiquing it as much as I am dissecting it. And if I'm drinking to have fun, then I'm not critiquing it either. I'm just kind of turning my mind off.
Yeah.
So Untapped has never appealed to me from a consumer standpoint. So going into it as a brewer, hot, you know, it's really tough to see though, to be, I've never been evaluated
On a scale of 1 to 5 before, right?
as the quantity of evaluations has never been there for me. I mean, gosh, we've been open for 2 months and we already have about 1,000 reviews on Untapped. That's a lot of times to be reviewed on a daily basis. Most people don't get reviewed that many times on a daily basis. And being the only brewer, it does feel like they're reviewing me as a person. And it's hard to go from, like, what are the 1 to 5 scales that I have in my life? Uber, basically, that's it. And you think about, like, would I accept a ride from an Uber driver who had less than a 4.5? No, I sure wouldn't.
I've never had anybody put that in perspective like that.
and so I think I speak for people who don't use Untapped in that when you open up the app and you're like, if you were not in the beer scene and you were to stumble upon Untapped or a brewery's Untapped ratings, you might, you know, be negatively influenced, even if it's a 4-star brewery. You know, you're looking at some of these beers that you liked and you see that they're rated in the 3s and you're like, oh, I guess it wasn't that good after all. Now, I mean, you could wax poetic for a while that, well, it's a 1 to 5 scale. Why are we neglecting everything but the 4s? You know, like why is a 3 bad? It's above half. I get that. I understand that.
It's a weird thing, you know, because some people will rate Bud Light 4.5 out of 5.
It's hard.
But,
I mean,
and some people will rate a 9.5% hazy IPA collaboration at 3, and it's like it's completely backwards rating system.
It's true. I mean, our jingle the first day we had, and the text of the reviews never lines up with what the review is, or it does sometimes if it's really negative. But like we had a review that said this beer is exactly what it should be for the style, 4 out of 5, and it's like, how could I do better than that?
If it is the style, why is it not the style? Like, why didn't you rate it as
If
such,
you're
right?
rating it strictly based on style and nailed it, why is it 4?
That to me that should be the definition of a 5.
Yeah.
But I'm also very, I don't know, obsessed with the style guidelines of different beer types. So there's plenty of like sours and IPAs, you know, rules need not apply, of course.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just one of those things, you know. But then you click on that guy's profile, he's rated 1,000 beers and his average rating is a 3.3. Yeah. So obviously he loved the beer. He gave it way higher than he normally does.
Most people won't do that though. Yeah, right. Most people won't go, oh, well, let's see why he gave that. And click on his profile to see his average
As the
rating.
brewer, as the guy getting the reviews, I'm doing that.
Right.
I'm doing it less obsessively as time goes on.
I mean, in the end, the opinions don't matter.
Right, the sales will speak for themselves.
Exactly.
You made it through a pandemic and you are still here, and people are so you have 2 guys that actually are drinking your beer on a work night that have to get up early the next morning.
So much so that you did a podcast about. Yeah, I get it. It's just, you know, it is tricky, and you know, I do not blame the Untapped community. I blame Untapped. I mean, I think that they have built something that naturally turned into what I would consider a somewhat toxic environment. And I think that's on the owners of the platform. Untapped, I'm calling you out. They have no recommendations on what their rating system should be. There's no like guide or FAQ for a new user to interpret these rules. There's nothing. They've done nothing. They've just kind of let it spiral into what it is. And I would never, ever tell a consumer to change their mind on what they think about something. That's your ultimate power as a consumer. And if these are the rules that were given to you and you decided to interpret them this way, then that's what you did, and that's what's right for you. So like I don't have any ill will towards any Untapped user interpreting the app through their own lens, because Untapped's done nothing to recommend anything else.
Right. Untapped's kind of the Jersey Shore age. You know what I mean? It's so popular now, and it's kind of ridiculous. I used to think that way of Beer Advocate, but those are kind of more snobby people than Untapped's based, in my opinion.
I'm not even sure that we're on Beer Advocate.
Some people, some of the beers I check in from Nashville aren't even listed as a beer on Beer Advocate, so I don't know if the base here is even using that yet.
I don't have the time.
It's not worth the time, to be honest. Yeah,
That was really good, by the way.
It was.
That was really good. I think I need a rinse break real quick.
Sure.
'Cause I think we're gonna, if you guys are okay, get into the lightning round in the next section.
Yeah. Do we have any other final questions? I feel like I ended on just ranting against Untapped.
No.
You got to be careful. You get me on Untapped.
Well, I'll just say real quick, our rating system is just that we agree with each other when we do these podcasts. Is 3 is order again, because it didn't exactly blow your mind, but you would drink the shit out of it on tap, you know? And or you would even more so buy it in a can, whether it be a 4 or 6 pack kind of deal.
And
It's just
conceptually, I think that that's fine. You know, I think that if that, I would love it if Untapped were to take your advice
and set it as an FAQ
like,
standard.
yeah,
right?
like
yeah.
number one and below is there's something wrong with this beer. Like I think they might have either given me the wrong beer or like there's like it's rotting or something terrible. Yeah. 2 is I wish I hadn't have bought that. 2.5 is like I don't regret it, but I'm not gonna drink this again. 3, order it again.
Setting a standard.
Something like that.
Yeah, they don't do that though.
No.
I mean, it's they let new users log in and it's just whatever they want it to be, and they can kind of create their own. And that goes back to like we've seen, and nothing wrong with it, but we've seen Bud Light's be given a 5, and then we've seen like Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA given 1.5, be like, oh, too sweet or oh, too hoppy.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting in for.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's an 18%, 120 IBU IPA. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be boozy. It's gonna be that. So don't knock the rating because of that.
Yeah.
But it's again, you can't call out a consumer, but you can definitely put the responsibility on the platform developer and the owners and say, hey, set a standard, and this is how you should play.
Yeah. It is funny. Probably our most polarizing beer is our coffee stout. It's very coffee forward.
It is very the Celtic Grounds.
Yeah.
It is very coffee forward.
And you look at the reviews, and it's either a low review that says too much coffee or a high review that says so much coffee.
nice.
And you know what? I'm actually okay with that, because either way, the reviews are getting the point across.
Yeah.
If you don't like coffee, don't order that beer.
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of how I see the reviews. It's really, if you don't have a comment, then your opinion's kind of
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know. I have to deal with a lot of reputation management for healthcare professionals. And it's also on a 5-star base system. It's just not good. And no one can defend against that unless you already have 200 reviews over the one thing or business. Beers are across the board because you have so many styles. There's no way you can build a defense for them. Whereas the professional people who have their one business profile can build up a plethora of reviews before it affects them. But I still, as a person searching for a primary care, anything above 3.5 is kind of okay. We can establish something, but anything below that kind of scares me.
Yeah.
And yet I rate my beers at a 3 if I like it, right? I give beer a little more room, in my opinion, than a healthcare professional. It's one of those weird things.
I mean, maybe you should, I guess the healthier is a little more important.
Right. Beer's for my health. Yeah, it is. So it's a weird thing. This 5 out of 5 rating system is just It's more fun than it is any kind of reasoning behind it. Really, I don't know. It's just have fun with it, but try to put some logic to it.
Yeah.
I do have one question to kind of close us out before we get into the lightning round. Why Crazy Gnome?
Oh boy.
I can't honestly. I don't know if if we should get into that description.
No, that's
while
fine.
We're drinking beers, but Mitch mentioned at the beginning, before we started, he's like he hadn't really listened to much of it.
Yeah.
I have, and I still don't understand where Crazy Gnome came from. So
Okay.
why Crazy Gnome?
It was
Red Hat, I get the whole Red Hat thing, but is that the inspiration for it, or is there something before that?
So, cut to me in high school. My friends and I had a YouTube channel that we called Crazy Gnome because I'm a little on the shorter side, and it was crazy. I was lighting myself on fire. I was teaching people how to make homemade explosives with homemade ingredients. A lot of anarchist cookbook type stuff. A lot of those videos are taken down. They violated terms of service.
Yeah, whatever that means, right?
And so that was the channel that we had going on for a while, just stupid high school stuff. And as I started home brewing, I always loved that brand. It didn't really catch on that much. We had 4,000 subscribers. It was a tiny channel, but that was my personal brand, my alter ego as I went into the corporate world and got my college degrees and just did accounting. I always had the Crazy Gnome side of myself, and that's kind of what got connected to the brewing beer. And we like this image of this mischievous gnome out there in the woods making a whole lot of beer, burning things down, that kind of imagery. We couldn't escape it, it just stuck at that point, the thought was in our head.
From a YouTube channel into the brewery at that point. It makes sense. Not everything has to have some sort of deep psychological meaning to something when you create something. It could be just, this is what I was doing in high school, and it just kind of followed me through.
My alter ego.
I have
That's right.
fond memories of fire myself. High school years, man, they're wild.
Yeah, they are.
Tire fires, car melting liquids, and homemade Mario fireballs into said fires.
Once you get a tire burning, it's hard to put out.
That's right.
They're hard to start and they're hard to stop.
Yes.
Well, let's take a rinse break. We're
Yeah.
kind of clean the glasses out, and then we're going to bust out the lightning round beers, and then we'll just go from there.
Sounds good.
We'll
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. And we're back with the lightning round. We have made our way through 4 Crazy Gnome beers. We're standing right now, but it's kind of hard to. I think it was so just to kind of run us back through these real quick. So we started out with the Red Hat Ale, which was a 5% red ale. And from there, we moved to the Je ne sais quoi, Belgian Saison, sitting at a cool 6.3%. And then we jumped all the way up to 9.5% hazy double IPA collaboration between Harding House and Crazy Gnome called Mice Among Lions. And then we wrecked our palate with a Don't Be a Sucker sour saison at 5.3%. So, and these weren't just tasters; they were generous. Yeah, they've been very generous with us tonight. So, going into the lightning round, feeling a little bit good.
Yeah.
The purpose of this one is to kind of try something that we all haven't had before necessarily. So, we're starting out with some proper sake. Mitch, do you want to be the one to kind of take us into this one?
I do. I'm actually pulling up the description. This one was kind of a release a while back. I would say end of September. And I've been saving all the descriptions that he creates for these. I know it's got koji in it, and that's kind of what the extra haze is in this beer. It is an IPA. It's a little Monsunta, little monster. So
Okay.
I like the name. It's a little catchy to me just because I have a little weebly side to me.
And we've had a few. We actually talked to Proper Sake few weeks back and got a chance to try some of their koji and sake inspired IPAs before. I'm trying to remember the two that we had, but one of them was very champagne-like, and the other one was kind of more West Coast IPA, kind of a little bit more dank. It was less dry, but more double IPA-ish. I think it was, I can't remember if it was higher in ABV or not, but both of them were very enjoyable.
Yeah, the double monsoon.
Double Monsuta.
And then there was a special one that was all
koji.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Yes.
It has a very specific lightness and taste, a little sweetness to it. I don't know. It was real special.
Yeah.
It was awesome. So this one is the Kyoto IPA, juicy hops of an American IPA with the elegance of umami. The IPA is fermented with sake cultures for a unique rendition on the popular favorite and is guaranteed wet whistle. Anyway, so it's got an interesting little idea to it. Sake cultures. So maybe I'm a little wrong on that koji thing, but
So when I'm thinking of koji, I'm thinking of the enzyme that they use to turn rice into a fermentable grain.
Right.
Is there rice in this, or are they just using that to transform barley?
I think the latter.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's what I remember too.
Yeah.
Not that there would be anything wrong with proper sake company
Right.
using rice in their beers. I mean,
Right.
come on. But
There is that quote, king of beers.
That is made of rice. No, and we had a conversation with Byron a few weeks ago about some of the stuff that he's put forth, and his kind of jump into beers from just sake was kind of pandemic related as well. The fact that he had to be able to make something that people would order lots of and take home with them, and that was kind of where the whole mix the sake inspired, like fused with beer before, and that's kind of how this line came about.
so I know I like sake, but I don't know a whole lot about it, and I normally get the cheap hot sake that they keep on the grill in front of you.
At the Japanese restaurant when you're sitting around the
So,
table.
I mean, I've experimented with some of the chilled ones with some of the different flavors. I know I like them a lot, but I mean, I would not consider myself very cultured when it comes.
And what I'm super impressed about proper sake is I never expected a sake brewery in Mitch. B, he does Yamaha styles, which they've got more umami to them, and you might be familiar with what you get, which is a clear edition that they heat up for you at the hibachi, but if you ordered a bottle, it's clear, so it's Junmai or Junmai Injo or something, so it's almost super refined. There's a lot of disparity kind of between the styles, but they all have a specific reason for being the way they are. And Yamaha has a lot of umami to it. And that's what excites me the most about proper sake and really got me interested in it. It's just, you don't find that style anywhere on the shelf really here. That and there's I am a fan of those unfiltered sakes also. Served cold and they're delicious. Just the beer things he's done this year have blown me away. But anyway, enough of kissing that. I haven't had this one. I don't think I've had this one.
See, I'm interested to see what you think of it because I would say that this beer has, zero sour, but a lot of funk to it coming from the mixed cultures that they used. So you just described yourself as someone who doesn't like sours that have funk.
Yeah.
I mean, are those aspects taken away from this for you, or do you think it's nice when it doesn't have sour?
So I can answer that question directly. I do not get any funky on this beer. And I don't know if it's a palate thing, but I'm getting more of a banana bread yeast on it. So I'm getting the little bit more of a sweeter. I don't want to call it a saison because it's definitely not that. But I'm getting more of the sweet banana bread flavor, not the nerds can't be sweet like we talked about earlier. I'm getting a little bit of that. I'm getting some dryness on the finish, and then it's clean all throughout. So I personally, my palate doesn't get any sour, any tart. I don't get any funky flavors even in this. To me, it's all clean.
That nose confuses me.
It definitely does. So to that point,
Are you getting funk on the nose?
yes. So when that's what I was gonna make my way back around to the nose. I should have started there first. When I smelled this, I went, "Oh shit! I'm about to get into something that I'm probably not going to sit back and enjoy." But Mitch said it was confusing because, and I don't know if this is what he would say, but it tastes different than how it smells.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I'm getting a little funk, but I'm not surprised at that. I mean, it's a mixed cultured, IPA. I mean, I think that they wanted some funk in there, and I, for one, don't mind that at all. If I were happy enough with how our brew house, treated wastewater, I would be doing more funk beers myself, but I just am avoiding it for infection's sake. So this is always welcome when I get these sort of flavor profiles.
Somebody else gets to do
Yeah,
the work.
exactly.
And you get to enjoy it.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
It's definitely an interesting little IPA.
Does it have the ABV on it, Mitch?
I didn't see it on the bottle. I was about to ask the same thing.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that.
If I had to guess,
Yeah, that would be an interesting conversation.
I'm gonna
What do you
guess
think it is?
7.3. Give me a decimal. Down to the
I'll give you
decimal.
a decimal.
It's a little
I'll even give you 0.2 either way. How's
Okay.
that? So it could be either 7.1 or 7.5. Are you talking about
No,
7?
I'm saying you got to give us a guess down to the decimal.
Oh, give.
And you can't. Yeah, and you. I get it.
I haven't looked. I don't know.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's a guess. I forgot. I said 7.3. That's right.
You said 7.3.
Don't you prices right me?
Nope. This isn't closest without going over, Bob. I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to say like 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah. We call it Little Masuta.
I'm seeing if it's in the past releases here and if he's listed it. There's the Koji Monsuta. That one was the one I think we were talking about.
So the interesting thing about Byron when he does like all of these sake and style beers, like it's sake style beers or inspired beers, is a lot of times, and this is probably a good thing in most instances, but the only reason why they're on Untappd is because somebody creates it and like 4 or 5 people end up having it.
Right.
And that's it. So, a lot of times you don't know the difference other than the description that they copy and paste from the board at the brewery or whatever into Untappd. So I actually don't know
So we don't know
of this beer.
We're both wrong.
6.5. You said 7.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still looking. To
Any
see
guesses? Or are you kind of all over the map on it?
I feel like it's definitely somewhere around there. I don't know. I wouldn't say definitely.
It tastes awfully sugary on it after I kind of not drank it after drinking it. You know what I mean? It has that kind of higher alcohol taste to it in a way. But I don't see the percentage listed anywhere, so I don't know. I'll have to ask.
Here I was thinking that you had to have it on the bottle.
You know Byron pretty decently. You could hop in next time and ask him about it.
Yeah, it's only 8:18. I might.
Settle a bit. Yeah,
You
that's
might have an
true.
answer tonight. Mitch might actually roll by there tonight if he can.
I don't know. He's probably done brewing or doing whatever he needs to.
So the nose, yes, is where I get the funkiness to it. The taste for me kind of ends more, I don't want to say saisonish, but it kind of has that yeasty flavor at the
Yeah.
end.
Oh, definitely.
But the funkiness is on the nose, and it's very confusing because smelling that, I was going, what am I getting myself into? What am I about to drink? And that's not at all what I experienced when I tasted it.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, the hops are, of course, coming through pretty strong. I'd be interested to see what they had in terms of hops.
Yeah, very curious.
What do you think, Mitch?
I make most of my hop guesses off of the aroma, unfortunately. So that's the.
I'm surprised we don't have air fresheners You know what I mean? Like, there's some that
There's a market for that.
There is. I want to, instead of coffee grounds in my like pen, whatever dispenser thing, I just want hops, the compacted, whatever it's called.
You want to get into your car after a long day's work, and you want to smell fresh hops.
Light me up a little bit, yeah.
It's not going to help you when you get pulled over.
That's true. I'll offer some dry hops. Here's a bag.
It's not what you think it is, officer. I promise.
Man, this is really surprised me. Shit. I don't know. It's weird. When you smell it, you get defensive. When you drink it, you're like, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
And it's mild and nice, really, to me. It's got a slight bitterness of an IPA, but it's got that slight little umami funk, whatever you want to call it, at the end, and it kind of hits your palate and then dissipates.
Any guesses on an ABV? 6 point.
I got it.
7.3.
I'm saying 6.5.
I think it's higher than you think. Now, if it's bottle conditioned,
Yeah.
then that's just, we have no
We
idea.
don't know.
Can be a mass spectrometer.
I don't think it's above 8. So.
That's a good non-answer.
I know. I'm thinking. Still,
But an answer nonetheless.
Let's see. I'll go. I'm going to round it to midway. 7.5. 7.5.
That's a narrow range for me.
Yeah.
It seems. I feel like it's a little monster. The name kind of makes me sway to the heavier
Ooh.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is a double monster, and I bet that was.
Double
heavy.
Monsuto was in the. Actually, you know what though? Double Monsuto was not as heavy as we were saying. I think it was around the 7 mark.
Did you have an ABV to that?
I thought I remember we talked about it.
We might have.
Because I honestly thought the Double Monsuto was higher in ABV, but they were both double IPAs. It was just one was brewed with more Monsuto than the other.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, the double IPA style, there's officially not a triple IPA. So
Right.
double IPA goes up to like 11 or 12, I think. Here in Tennessee, you'd have to have an additional permit to brew anything over 10.1. So
It used to be lower than that.
it did. Thanks, Yazoo.
Yeah. Six something. Right?
It was 6 something. Yeah,
6.1 or
it was
something like that, or
was
6.3.
absurdly low.
Yeah.
Getting that bump to 10.1 really gave that. I mean, yeah, the it's really cool how the Tennessee brewers that fought through opening and all of our constrictive laws then fought the legislation to make it easier for other breweries. You look at other states. I'm going to name drop Utah. Utah has very constrictive laws when it comes to brewing. Like you see double IPAs over there that are 3%.
Oh, my God.
Because to be sold in a grocery store, you have to be below 5.
I almost want to try
A 3% double IPA.
that. Yeah.
There's some delicious stuff going on, but you immediately think, hey, these laws are being kept in place by the Mormon Church. That's not true anymore. They're actually being kept in place by the breweries that exist there. They fight to keep these laws in place because it prevents other breweries from being able to open, and it prevents a competitive marketplace. Calling you out, large brewers of Utah. A lot of and all these stories come. We actually bought our equipment secondhand from a smaller Utah brewery that was just kind of opening our eyes to some of the politics that were going on in their state. That some of the smaller breweries were like, we want to grow, but we literally can't afford to grow because we're having to make water.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But they don't. None of the smaller breweries have like the political power to get laws changed. Where here, I feel like just a great thing about Tennessee is it doesn't really seem, at least to me, at least at my level, it doesn't really seem to be much of a difference between large brewers and small brewers. We're all fighting for the same thing, and that's to make craft beer a bigger part of the marketplace.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me that when you're looking at, it's a good point, macro beer worlds, when you're looking at big three like Miller, Coors, and I'm like, those guys are fighting for market share against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're finally starting to realize that some of these craft breweries are coming to take their space and they can't compete, so the answer is to buy them up.
Exactly.
You know, but if you're looking at like you would never see two macro breweries collab to create something. One, because it wouldn't taste much different. But number two, they're not out to try to increase the awareness for good beer. They're there to dominate market share. And while the goal is to either be able to get as big as somebody like Google or big enough to be acquired by them,
Yeah.
in the meantime, craft breweries are collaborating with other craft breweries because, you know, it's fun to take market share away from the big guys, like no doubt about that. But at the same time, as a brewery, you are not sitting there going, how can I put these guys down the street out of business?
Oh, for sure.
How can I do that? Instead, you're going, we're going to put your name up on the board. You guys can collaborate with us, and then we'll share the same beer at each tap room.
Yeah, at 100%. I mean, even before we opened, you know, several breweries in town, you know, were very helpful to us. Some rather large ones as well that probably, I mean, honestly, at their size, don't need the headache of yet another brewery opening.
Right.
But it's just the spirit right now. It's just so collaborative, and I don't know. It's been a really fun community.
That's awesome. That's good to hear too. I like living in that kind of space.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
I get to buy all the good beer that comes from it.
Exactly.
Nashville's got tons of it.
Yes.
So I think we're going to finish off with this one.
Oh boy.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
This is a very strong punch in the face. So a little bit of background: Three Floyds, Munster, Indiana has Dark Lord Day every year. Tickets sell out relatively quick. This year they didn't have a Dark Lord Day just because the pandemic and everything. They still sold their beer. Actually, fun fact: me, Mitch, and then DJ, who's a guest host on the show from time to time. We are actually driving up to Chicago and Munster this weekend to pick up our 2020 Dark Lord bottles.
Okay, because you went the
Because
year before.
normally you have a whole day out of it where the best breweries bring their best craft beer and they have one or two and it's a whole day. They have bands and all that kind of stuff. But 2020 kicked everybody in the ass and they're not having that day this year. But they still brewed the beer. So whereas normally you would go up there and you would get to, you know, you buy your ticket and then you get the 4 beers plus a special variant of Dark Lord Day. Because they're not doing the event this year, they still brewed the beer, so the tickets are a little bit cheaper this year. I
like
think.
shy $30.
Yeah, it's still expensive as hell, but we're driving up to get our beers. But what we're drinking here is actually last year's Dark Lord Day beer. So this is a 2019 Dark Lord Day Imperial Russian Stout. I think it sits at like 18%.
Roughly around there.
Yeah, and it's heavy. It's syrupy, like maple syrup. It's dark. It's the definition of an imperial stout, but it is super tasty.
Yeah, it's I look forward to having it when I go to these festivals because all I do is age these things typically.
Yeah.
So it's just you know, what is the pour of Dark Lord at Dark Lord Day?
3 ounces.
What price?
Oh, price?
Like $7 or $8 for
Yeah.
like a 3 ounce pour.
It's $10 maybe for the older variants.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
you know, gotta have it. Marshmallow Hangy's one of the super sought out things there, and we were lucky to get our hands on that. Even it was thanks to the people in front of us that they bought extra tasters to hand out to people in line.
And that's the thing about Dark Lord Day is it's you buy your ticket to get the beer and to get into the event. All the pours that you get are extra. But it's amazing to see the craft beer community come together because you're interested in everybody hanging out, being together. You're drinking these rare beers that you can't find, but everybody's interested in sharing with one another. So if somebody comes through and orders 4 of the same beers, they turn around and they just pass it back to the person behind them. So it's an incredible experience.
That's definitely not 2020 friendly.
It's not 2020 friendly. Maybe it'll be 2021 friendly, Grayson,
Yeah.
but right now it is not 2020 friendly.
Please. So already I'm looking at this nice brown foam on there.
Yeah.
Good brown head.
On the nose, what do you get?
I'm getting dark sweetness.
Okay. Dark sweetness.
Dark
Okay.
sweetness.
Almost like molasses.
Yep.
Okay.
Like black licorice.
Licorice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's actually one of the descriptions on it, so that's exactly right.
What's that in your pocket? This is descriptions.
It's a cheat sheet.
When we're getting into this, be thinking about what your current top 3 favorite beers are.
Oh, God.
So I have to think about that myself, but I'm just like, I'm having
As
one of
I'm
these-
drinking something that's erasing my mind.
Yeah, right. Almost a little raisin, you know.
I was going to mention the fact that I'm picking up on some kind of fruit.
Raisin, perhaps?
I couldn't pick out if it was raisin or whatever, but
I'm gonna dive in, man.
Go
It's
for
been
it.
too long.
sorry, this is 15%. This one's a little bit lower than previous years.
That's a light beer.
Oh shit,
That's
that's a punch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oof, some vanilla. Right.
Vanilla? Okay.
It's like
I get that. I'm sure this thing has a much higher IBU than I think it does, but I'm getting
Bitterness.
I'm getting next to zero bitterness.
Okay.
I'm getting really very sweet. Obviously the viscosity is high. It's very
Yeah.
syrupy, like you said, but that's not a bad thing.
There's no IBU count on this that I could find. Even just going to like Rate Beer, Beer Advocate, and stuff like that. Not for the 2019
It's-
anyway.
It's
But you're
very-
right.
it's-
The earlier years have had IBU counts in the 40s. So definitely higher than probably what you thought it was. But I think that's attributed to the higher ABV and the sweetness of the molasses. It's
Yeah.
high.
Yeah, it's really tricky. In fact, I bet if those IBUs weren't there, this would be disgustingly
Yeah.
sweet. The sweetness, it hits you way up front. I feel like I'm biting into some sort of dried fruit, like from a trail mix. So it's got some chocolate in there too.
Yeah.
You mentioned raisin.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I taste the kind of more chocolatey molasses taste up front. It's like sweet, but a little, I don't know, chocolatey. I really, other than saying dark chocolate or bitter.
I think I'm eating trail mix that's
Yeah,
mostly
trail
dark
mix is a good
chocolate
one.
That's a
and
good way to
and
put
dry, like no nuts obviously. Well, I don't know, maybe a little nutty, but it doesn't necessarily.
So here's a question then. If you're not drinking your beer because you're obviously probably biased towards your own stuff, but you want something else, what are you drinking right now?
I'm very situational.
Okay.
I think that I love the seasonal progression of beers. So we're getting into colder weather.
Yep.
I'm gravitating towards darker stuff.
Okay.
So I am seeking out these heavier stouts. So I'm very thrilled that I'm having this right now.
I'm gonna let this one warm up a bit.
Oh yeah, okay. That'll be.
I don't know how long it's been sitting out for, or what it was chilled to, but what is the ideal temperature typically? Like 15?
Yeah, for dark lower, it was in the mid 50s. So probably a little bit warmer than what we're drinking.
I'm just curious what flavors. It's been so long since I've had one. Will it just be even sweeter?
Probably.
It might be a little. It might be a little more bitter.
True.
I don't know.
It does have that raisin note to it. And maybe that'll be.
But yeah, darker stuff for sure. It's stout season.
Yeah.
I had, oh man, I don't remember the brewery. A collection, just talking about how amazing the craft beer industry is. After we were hit by the tornado, my CCTV footage was still rolling. It's on a battery backup. So don't cut my power and think you can break in. No.
You got that one. You got that covered, right?
Yeah, I got it covered for at least 30
Yeah,
minutes.
that's right.
It actually lasted for hours. But it kind of went viral online as a really interesting video of our brew house just getting destroyed by a tornado. I mean, you gotta
Silver lining.
you gotta appreciate. I mean, like
Yeah.
viral in the brewing community anyway.
What's the phrase? Any
Press is good press.
There it is. Yeah. I was kept leaning on news for some reason. I'm like, it's not right.
Yeah, news is good news. Yeah, close to that. But a collection of Calgary breweries sent me a gift package of some of their beers, and I still have a few of their. 'Cause this all happened as weather was getting warmer. A bunch of them were stouts. I still have a few of their stouts in my fridge, and I'm just waiting. So I broke out one of these imperial stouts. I mean, I don't know. I'm a sucker for a good imperial stout when I'm cold.
Yes.
What can I say?
The favorite of mine is that whole Rasputin barrel aged.
Oh, people love that. Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's good.
Anything barrel aged, really.
I go back to, in terms of imperial stouts, for whatever reason, my mind always goes to Burial in Asheville, North Carolina. So
Yeah.
they're obviously good with every beer that they make.
Yeah.
But their IPAs are super good, and their stouts are super good.
Yep.
When they barrel age something, it's like
Oh, who makes the Mexican hot chocolate?
I know Heights has one, but I don't think that's who.
No, I'm thinking of something out of North Carolina or maybe at Georgia.
we had a Mexican hot chocolate from Torched Hop when we were there
That's true.
in Atlanta a couple of years ago, but that's probably not the one you're thinking of either.
No. Either way, it's a great style.
Yeah, it is. The cinnamon, the kind of the spiciness to me in a stout is a little, I wouldn't call it a turnoff. It's just not something that I gravitate towards.
Yeah, you got to do it right.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, I don't know. The only time I've been able to handle anything over medium from Bolton's Hot Chicken was when I had this insane Imperial Stout with me that I brought to Bolton's,
I bet that would be.
and
Good combination.
So
Hot
I'm-
chicken and
and
Yeah.
a 13% Imperial Stout that you're chugging
How do you
because
drink
your
that
mouth
with
is on
hot
fire.
chicken? That's
You
what
don't
I'm
use a
trying to
cup, okay? You're drinking from the bomber.
Yeah. Yes. Holy shit. That's the only way to go. Wow.
And you're still sweating and you're still miserable the next day.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I grew up on Bolton's and Prince's here, and I'm due for a Bolton's visit over medium. But my whole body just hates me after 20 some odd years of hot chicken.
Bolton's does not mess around.
No. I love that dry, like rubbed kind of pepper and all the cayenne pepper. That fish chicken on stick. God, it's all good. I don't know. It was funny to me on a hot chicken note. I don't know what Pepper Fire is doing these days, but the first time I went to Pepper Fire, I ordered the hottest chicken they had. Because that's kind of how I gauge hot chicken in Nashville after growing up on it. I know, like, my experiences over time with the two main ones that were here, the Prince's Bolton's, and then all of these others have come in, and so I go with the hottest chicken when I usually go to a new place. And Pepper Fire's cashier told me, "What hot chicken have you ate before?" Immediately, I was like, "Prince's," and then, okay. I was like, "What? Why did you even ask that? I've never been asked that before." Like, well, people getting hattie B's and they can handle hot chicken.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, shots fired. Yeah. Cool. Okay, yeah, I don't go there. But I hear they have good chicken. That's fine. It's been a while since
I'll
I've had
stick
hot
up for Hattie B's. It's delicious. It's tasty. But,
It's like it's like
I'm...
brown sugar, right? Or sugary hot? Or that's
Yeah,
what I
a little
remember.
bit, yeah.
It's tasty.
Which is good, yeah.
It's awesome.
You're talking to somebody who, I rarely go over medium. At Bolton's, will go over their next to last thing that they have.
I think you and I are on the same flavor profile for hot chicken.
I like the idea of hot chicken in that I love spice. I love Indian food because it's got such a blend of spices. It's
Yes.
interesting. And
Yes.
so finally we've got fried chicken that's interestingly spiced, but the heat, I don't know. I don't want my food to challenge me.
No, yeah. Some days I appreciate it. Other days I don't want it.
Normally it's the day after you don't want
Yes,
it.
yes. There's always regret.
Hot chicken sounds good right now.
It does, but especially with this.
You'd be able to eat anything.
Yes.
This is a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of good beers today. A lot of good beers. We can't thank you guys enough, honestly.
Thanks for coming
This
out.
is just it was a fun time. So Mitch and I were here on Saturday just kind of catching up what you guys had. Actually had a couple tonight that I hadn't had before, and was very surprised by it, especially the sour saison. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. And to be able to also in return share something with you guys in return for your gratitude. We can't thank you guys enough. Closing thoughts from you guys, whether it be the beer in general or just this is kind of like you guys' 30 seconds to either plug whatever you want or just whatever you want. It's open to you because it's an informal forum, but at the same time, this is about you guys also.
I still want to know what 3 favorite beers are.
Oh shit!
And there's lightning questions too, I think.
Yeah.
Lightning questions.
3 favorite beers.
3 favorite beers.
Okay, all right. I got this. It's not a big deal. Don't worry. Quit panicking. I mean, I've already said Erdinger Dunkelweizen. I think I gotta continue
so we'll give
to.
you one then.
Yeah, I think I gotta continue to keep that on the list. I am going to give Mantra's Saffron IPA on there.
Okay.
I mean, you could probably substitute that one for a couple of other ones that Mantra's done. I think they've done some really cool stuff, and I really enjoy some of the more unique twists they've done on things.
They definitely don't do this is a regular IPA, this is a regular style. Like Guru Geesh is kind of a different take on that style of beer. Saffron IPA, I've never had saffron in an IPA before.
Yeah.
So, but they do it right.
Yeah.
You know, Mantra is good. I've been there a couple of times.
Are they in Murfreesboro?
No, they're based out of Franklin?
That's right.
Cool Springs, Brentwood area?
No, actually, you're both right. They started off in Franklin, Cool
and then
Springs,
they have Hot Springs.
and now they're only in Hot Springs. They've sold their Cool Springs location.
Did not know that.
Interesting.
I think it might be. I think it briefly went to Mill Creek, and then now is in the
I know
hands
they
of
have
Turtle
the Cumulus
Anarchy.
project, but they also have
Steel
Mantra,
Barrel.
Steel Barrel.
Steel,
yeah.
yeah.
I forgot about Steel Barrel.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, right? So you have a brewery that was blessed by a celebrity chef to open, given really great budget, and then they turn around and they start investing in a local school to build a brewing program.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm from Murfreesboro.
Okay.
Like that's where I live currently.
cool.
So I understand that
Yeah.
whole.
I mean, I just think that's a really nice, cool way to take your business. You start investing in the future. I
Yeah.
think that's really cool, and it doesn't hurt that they make amazing beer.
Right.
Some of the stuff from Steel Barrel is very hit or miss, but you'd expect it's a student-run brewery.
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. And I think their goal is they create like Steel Barrel. You'll never see them making a saffron IPA. Like they're not doing stuff like that. Steel Barrel is making a basic red ale, a basic pale ale, a basic IPA because they're teaching their students the definition of what a red ale is, what a pale ale is.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can kind of catapult off and do something else. But you'll never walk into Steel Barrel and find something other than like a Kolsch or pale ale or just a basic beer because they're teaching their students what to start with.
Yeah. And definitely. I mean, I have lots of respect for them.
Yeah.
And then number 3 on my list, again, sorry, I'm not really giving you straight answers here, but it would be something from Urban Farm Fermentory and Gruit Brewing Company. So they're out of Portland, Maine.
Okay.
They do a bunch of really weird stuff with Gruit styles and beer / vinegars and odd things. I had a couple of flights there when I was visiting Portland, and I was impressed by everything, even if some of it was gross. It was still pushing my senses in a really cool situation, and they knew it. Like they're like our tasters are 5 ounces, theirs were 2 ounces. Like they knew like this is this weird herb. Like
you're gonna drink 2 ounces of this.
Yeah.
You're gonna want something else.
exactly.
Right.
Because we made a beer out of yarrow, and no one's done that.
Right.
No one's done that for 500 years since they discovered hops.
Yeah.
And
What's the name of the brewery?
Urban Fermentory. Urban Farm Fermentory.
Urban Farm Fermentory.
Is that something you can get here? Or
No,
is that
no,
just,
definitely
okay,
not.
yeah.
Super small batch. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they have any.
How do you
what they,
land a URL like fermentory.com? Wait.
is that what they landed?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
They signed up early.
They did, yeah.
Must have.
That's awesome.
Tasting room tap list.
And I'm sure they've got a bunch of weird stuff on there right now. Maybe not. I don't know how 2020 is going for them. But
They've got kombucha, they've got meads, they've got beers. Pumpernickel, a beer brewed with local blue ox malt house roasted rye malt and caraway seeds.
I would drink that for sure.
Curious. Yeah. What the hell?
And so one thing again, like that they did that I really, I don't know, maybe I kind of want to replicate here in Nashville, but I don't know. We'll see how things go. But what they've done is they've really engaged the community in learning about what weeds are growing in their yards and what plants those actually are, and then paying the local populace basically not. I think they get like a free beer to pay for every pound of stuff they bring in, but to like let these weeds grow, these local herbs, cut them, and they'll the roof of the tap room is all lined with herb dryers, and they're drying these herbs that they then use in some of their later beers. So the community is bringing in the local herbs, locally grown just as weeds around town, to be used in some of these hyper experimental beers that they're doing. Not even beers, gruits.
Because when I did the search, I did a search for Urban Farm Fermentory and Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Came up, it's the same URL.
Yep.
Yeah. I thought you were mentioning two different breweries.
Oh, sorry. And
it's the same
yeah,
thing.
I was stumbling through the entire name.
Gosh, paying somebody to keep weeds in their yard, that's something.
Exactly.
I'd be down for that.
Exactly.
As a guy that lives in an HOA neighborhood, that's a dream for me. I'd love to be able to
Well,
just
but
let
you
my
got
yard
you
go
got to
or
let them
whatever.
get to maturity, though.
That's okay. I'm fine with that. That's less work for me to do.
I also agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's that. I don't know. I really admired how they were connecting with their local community, and they had the skill set to really know a whole lot about the local flora. I don't think I necessarily have that skill set, but just finding ways to connect with your consumer base beyond just selling them things.
Mhm.
I think that's our goal. I don't know what that will look like for us exactly, but
Something you want to maybe do in the future.
yeah,
Connect with us as consumers other than just, hey,
Sell.
we have good beer, let me sell you something.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. It's actually a list of 3 beers I've never heard of before.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was awesome.
yeah, Mantra, Steel Barrel, those guys, obviously. But I've never heard of these guys before. Urban Farm Fermentory and
Gruit.
Brewing Company. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
It really has.
What
I can't thank you enough.
you have 3 that you want
Yeah.
to say?
I'm terrible with beer names, but
I
I
mean,
don't
you
do a
can-
ton of drinking outside of Crazy Gnome.
Is there a style that you prefer over others?
I, like Grayson, I'm a huge fan of saisons.
Okay.
I also really like stouts, like just different milk, chocolate, coffee stouts.
Yeah. This is a good time for it.
I have a couple
Yeah.
that have been surprising recently. I can't remember. UJ brought over a couple.
Stouts?
I thought so.
You brought over a couple too. We had them all that one day.
I guess that's the right answer.
It's the season though. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's getting to be colder, so like saisons is really good, and stouts are really good too.
The first beer that I ever tried that I absolutely loved was I think it was a milk stout. It was at that festival. Do you have any idea what
Oh.
that was?
Do you think it was left-handed milk stout, or was it duck rabbit?
Oh.
Those were actually the two I was going to ask about because left hand and duck rabbit are like, in my opinion, that's the definition of a base milk stout. Like
They're
that's-
both really good.
Yeah, they're both really good.
I don't
was
recall
like,
the specific.
It was likely one of them.
Well, we'll lock down with duck rabbit. Duck rabbit, milk stout.
Duck rabbit milk stout. Saisons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are good styles, though.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to get a little bit of a surprise with them too. That's what I like about it. It's a lot of creativity can go into those.
Yeah, it's easy to take an IPA and you can make an IPA unique, right? You can do that, but at the end of the day, hops.
Yeah.
Hops. Being able to take something like a saison or something like a stout and make it unique and different, I think it's easier to stand apart from the crowd with a stout than it is with something more hop, because you can hide bad flavors if you have enough hops in something. Hard to hide bad flavors in a stout. So
Yeah.
it was good. Guys, we can't thank you very much enough. It's been a good time just being able to drink you guys' beer, and thank you for being in Nashville. It's been a good time, and we really appreciate you guys having us here tonight. Mitch, closing thoughts?
Well, I was trying to choose my 3 favorites.
Okay. Why don't I keep closing Mitch out of his 3 favorites?
So it's kind of hard for me. So I really enjoyed the experience of koji with beer.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the koji beers that I can't remember the name of was definitely a close second, maybe a third.
Okay.
It's one of them, and it might have been double monsoonta, and it might have been whatever the one was where it was all koji. So I can't remember the name of that one. We talked about it briefly, but it had such a unique taste with it. It was definitely. I'm a fan of sake, so of course it hit really home.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and put that one on 2, whatever that would be. Maybe we'll see it again next year. I don't know. So for a third or number 1, I like the conversations more so, or the sharing of a beer than the experience of the beer itself. Kind of hearing like the multiple opinions and learning kind of, I guess, aspects. So right now it's still kind of that. Part of me doesn't like saying it, but the 120. It's always bringing people into a craft beer world. It'll wreck them, but you're putting them on spot to talk about it. You know what I mean? And you never know what they're gonna say. And I think I could have probably been more polite with a stout that was heavy than a 120-minute IPA, but that one gets you talking pretty quickly. You get reactions extremely fast.
Yes.
So I kind of enjoy that aspect of that one. So just the idea of that one, I really enjoy. It's not really a great number 1, but
It's polarizing.
it's
though,
polar
because you can have people that drink 120-minute IPA that are all the way on the positive side, or they'll have people that are all the way on the other side and be like, yeah, it's a good IPA, but
Yeah, it's a
Dogfish Head can be polarizing like that,
Yeah.
As the micro brewery, one of the bigger ones in the micro brewery in the craft beer community.
They merged with Sam Adams. They're officially
Yes.
macro now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. Congrats, right? Like,
I guess, yeah.
one of the craft boys did it. They
They
up
made
and
it.
did it. They get, like,
You
both
either
of them.
become Google or you become big enough to get bought by them.
Yeah, and they probably, both of those breweries probably I don't know, maybe they've been offered before to be purchased.
Maybe, yeah.
But they didn't. They did it. They made it themselves. I don't know. It takes a certain level of respect.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any hatred towards them at all for getting that big. I think
Not
it's.
at all.
I think it's. I don't know, something to shoot for. Like as ridiculous as that sounds, at least like somebody did it. You
Yeah.
know, like it's not impossible to do it.
Right.
I mean, it is an achievement in a way, and as far as I know, they haven't really changed much of what they do. I haven't plugged into their politics, but I mean,
I think they've moved more towards like they're staying with their base beers that they've had.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not in Milton, right? So I mean, I've only been to their brewery once.
Yeah.
And I've had the unique stuff that they offer, but I think they've kind of more landed on like IPAs and sours and things like that. That they're sticking with the beers that they make year round.
Yeah.
But I don't think in terms of like the ingredient lists that they've changed, I don't think they've changed anything like that, which is a problem for a lot of microbreweries that get bought, because at that point when you're bought by the bigger guys, it's net margin, right?
Yeah, you
It's
have to use
how
a
can you
slice.
squeeze more pennies out of a bottle of beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and my third is one I can't get. New Glarus Raspberry Tart.
Where's
It was it almost wasn't a beer. That's how good it tasted to me. I like my fruity beers, but some fruity beers don't hit the same way. And the raspberry tart from New Glarus really knocked it out of the park. And I've only had one bottle, but it sold me. So I have to get a trade one of these days for some of those. But that's definitely in my top 3 current. I haven't had any other New Glarus yet, but I think they are Wisconsin based, right next to Michigan, right? Wisconsin. It's Chef Hat.
Okay.
Yeah. But
We'll run it through mine real quick. I think mine would be my top 3. The third one's kind of a hard one to find, but number 1, in my opinion, so Three Floyds made a Dark Lord variant called Marshmallow Angie, and it is a Dark Lord Russian Imperial Stout mixed with real vanilla, and it actually has marshmallows in it, so it was like super tasty. It was really good, less boozy than this, but higher alcohol content, which was really good. 2, I think, is actually my first experience with an IPA, which was Stone Ruined 10, which is actually now been rebranded, I think, as Ruined Again. I think is what they ended up renaming it, but Ruined 10 ended up being their 10-year anniversary of Stone's Ruination Double IPA. And then they went through a couple of variants where they added orange to it, and it just didn't work out very well, but they came back around to calling it Ruined Again, which was basically their next attempt on Ruined 10, which is a triple IPA. I think it sits at 10 or 11%. And then I don't know what my third would be, other than I go for either really dank West Coast IPAs or I go for super juicy hazy IPAs. It's hard for me to find something in the middle where I go, that's amazing. I like everything in the middle. I like the entire spectrum, but typically I'm a sucker for super hazy and lower on the IBU count, or super dank, less on the hazy side, hit you in the face, 100 plus IBUs. That's what I'll go for typically. So I guess I'm bitching out when I answer my third one, because I don't really have one.
I just named a brewery.
Yeah.
For 2 of mine, I think. So
Yeah, okay, well, that works. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
it's really just an open field, just getting a feel of how your palate is now.
And it'll change tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or
Or at least next season, when the weather's different.
Yeah, true. So, but it's been a good time. I think it's been great.
I'll just say that I liked it warmed up.
Yeah.
I had my last few sips, and it was a lot more like a candy bar this time.
Yep.
It's definitely, I think the sweet spot is that warmer state.
Okay. You guys kind of get the same thing out of it, or was it better cold, chilled versus
I mean,
warmed up?
I'm definitely getting more of the candy state, and whatever carbonation that was there was totally gone. I mean, it's hard to say. It was a little cleaner when it was colder, but I got a lot more flavor, and all of the flavor was good when it was warmer. So, I guess if I was trying to drink a lot of it, I'd prefer it colder. But if I was trying to savor what is a very hard to find bottle, then I'd probably be drinking warmer.
I've drank a bottle of it before. Would not recommend it. Not a good idea. But this has been awesome. We appreciate you guys. Can't thank you guys enough for being able to come down and share your beers with us, and us being able to share our beers with you. So if you're not drinking beer, start drinking beer. If you're drinking beer, keep drinking craft beer. And if you've never had craft beer before, Crazy Gnome Brewery, Nashville. Very good list of beers, very good sours, good IPAs, good red ales. Everything we've had tonight's been a great experience. So come check them out downtown. I know we're going to be back multiple times.
That's right.
We'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.